to the curve, where ideas take flight, blending tech.
All right, well, welcome to The Learning Curve, the podcast put on by the Digital Learning Department of Region 7 Education Service Center. My name is Carl Mohn. I'm a Digital Learning Specialist here at Region 7.
I'm Benjamin Wood. I'm the Coordinator of Digital Learning.
So on today's episode, we're going to really look at and explore some tech tools for student success. And remember, that's everything that we're trying to do in this podcast is about what's really effective for student success. We don't want to highlight a tool unless we think it can really help our students get better at learning, become more creative or curious or something like that. And so that's where we're going today. We're going to lean into and look at three tools in particular. Spend just a little bit of time exploring those tools. You get to see really some on-screen stuff, how to use these tools, and hopefully come away with something. The takeaway is maybe you can find a new tool or a new strategy for a tool you've already been using that can help you level up your student learning in your classroom. So we're going to take a quick look here. I'm going to show you another tool, and this has become really one of my favorite tools. It's called MyShortAnswer, and I'm going to show you on my screen, demo a little bit as we're kind of going through this. And one of the things that I love about MyShortAnswer is it brings writing into every discipline. And we know that, especially with the New Start test, that we've got to bring writing into every discipline. We've got to have our students writing all of the time. There are short answer questions on every test now. And so what MyShortAnswer does, and the reason that I think it's such a valuable tool, is it uses comparative judgment and it uses peer critique. The research behind this tool finds that quality peer critique is as good, if not better, than teacher critique. And when we just let that sit for just a second, we might find ourselves kind of pushing back against that at first, but when we consider that when we have a public audience for whatever our work is, we tend to perform better. We tend to do a better job. And so this tool is based on peer critique, which means that I'm not writing for my teacher, I'm writing for you. And I want to impress you with how I'm writing this. And when we say it's comparative judgment, what you do in the process is when all of your students have written, they are then comparing responses to one another. And the caveat with peer critique is that word quality, because what 12-year-old knows how to give quality critique?
No.
What 30-year-old sometimes knows how to give quality critique. And what's great about this tool is it builds it in. It's embedded in there. Your students are writing to a kind of a rudimentary rubric, but they've got specific qualities and specific skills they're looking for. And so when you and I write a paper, we're looking at it, or write a response. We're looking at, all right, which one had the better supportive ideas, or which one was more creative. And when you ask it like that, well, now it's easy perhaps to look at those and go, well, in this one, I think that BJ had a better supportive ideas. When this one, Carl was a little more creative. And so you're able to offer some comparison like that. And it's such a really valuable tool. It adds a little competition to the classroom as well, which students love, bringing competition into the classroom. So those are a couple of reasons that I really, really love the tool. What do you want to
so kind of something that you spoke on there, that idea of critique, I think our students, I saw it in my classroom, they don't know how to speak about the ideas that they have eloquently. That is a hard thing, just like you mentioned, for all ages, including adults. And anytime we can build an excuse into the curriculum, into the work we're doing, to have them express and explain their ideas, I think we're improving their understanding of learning. We're improving skills that they're going to need, both soft skills and educational skills. And I can't speak highly enough about this tool for that reason alone. And what I want to reiterate, kind of what Carl mentioned, like one thing we always talk about in our department is this idea and notion of your students are intrinsically motivated by their peers' approval, not the teacher. This idea that if you ask the student, you give the student an assignment, the very first question they're going to ask you 9 times out of 10 is this for a grade? And that can be frustrating as a teacher to hear again and again and again. But we know what our students are actually asking is this valuable to me and my time? because they're having to play a game in the back of their head of, especially if they're a secondary student, if they're dealing with 8 classes, they're balancing out the workload in their head of, well, do I need to put a lot of effort into this, or can I just get this through and then focus on all the other things I have to do as well? And so leaning into this tool allows you to give them the level of expectation that's higher than what is intrinsically available to us as students. Because our students know, if I give you something and it's just between me, you, and the teacher, or me, you, and a filing cabinet or a digital filing cabinet and no one else is going to see, they're going to make it good enough. But if they do it for the world, if they do it for their peers, it's going to be so much higher and so much more worthy and valuable in their eyes than if we just gave them an assignment that's going to wind up in the trash after we put a grade on it and stuff. So these tools are just great. I love My Short Answer.
They're so good. So what you see here is you're going to see my screen. And these are a couple of questions that I already have, but I want to demo and just show you real fast how easy this tool is to use, so you can get in and you can start using it right away. So I'm going to ask a new question. So I'm going to click on, here's my new question. And here's what I'm going to ask. Which exercise is better? Running or rowing? And then defend your answer. And I need to put a question mark right there. I use running and rowing because I run. I'm a runner, and BJ is a rower. And so inadvertently, you're going to be judging between the two of us, which one of us you think is better, which exercise is better. So which one is better, running or rowing? And then notice I put defend your answer. So it's not just, you don't just put, well, I think running is better, or I think rowing is better. You've got to tell us why. And then as I scroll down, you'll see these are my feedback criteria, and I can change these. A clear explanation, a strong support of ideas, and the most creative. Maybe I don't want you to be creative. Maybe I want you to give factual data, right? And so I just put that in there, and now that's a grading criteria. And that's going to be really, really important, because that's how your students are going to judge between the two responses. So in this instance, when we're talking about running or rowing, if you don't have actual factual data in there, then perhaps you've not given a better response. So now I'm going to launch the question. And you'll notice there are 3 different ways that we can do this. There's the all-in, and what that does is it's going to continue to put answers next to one another over and over and over until theoretically all of your students have seen every single response, which is really valuable because you're comparing everyone's answers to everyone else's answers. And you're going to get really good data on that. The parrot, the whole class together compares the same pair of student responses at the same time. And I think there's some value in that as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think that was a really interesting one, because now all of us are looking at the same ones. And I might even be looking at mine and I'm having to compare it. So I think that's really interesting. And then the Battle Royale, this is a bracket, and it's a tournament is what it is. And so, you start as your, whatever, the 1 seed and the 16 seed.
Is there a fantasy My Short Answer league?
There really should be.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Right.
should start that. We
There
should
we
start
go.
a fantasy My Short Answer. And so you work your way down to get to, hey, here are the 2 best, and so now we're going to evaluate those and see which one is the absolute best. But here's what I want to throw out, because this is comparative judgment. So when you answer all of the questions, when you get down to the very end and you find a champion of this question, what's great about this is the conversation that you get to have, because it doesn't necessarily mean that if BJ's answer gets voted the highest up and everybody loves BJ's answer, does that mean that his is the best answer necessarily? Maybe not. Because it might not be, if you're the teacher, it might not be your favorite answer, and it might not, and maybe he didn't really answer all the questions, but his peers, a jury of his peers decided, yes, this was the best answer. And now we get to look at all of the answers together. This is the other thing I like. And we get to, as a class, even evaluate what makes this good, what makes this not good. Did this really have a better explanation or supportive ideas? And I love how we're looking at these again in comparison with one another. I think you get some valuable feedback on those tools.
And a couple things that I love about this tool with what you're saying there, with the comparative analysis. Our brains are not designed to compare things very well outside of 1 to 2 things. Like if I give you 2 items, you could tell me very easily which one is better or worse.
Right.
But if I give you 15 items, you're less likely to be able to tell me which one is 13th out of the 15. Right? That's just something that's really difficult for us. This technique allows us to do that. And then the second thing I'd say about this that I just can't stress enough, it's been amazing as we've worked with teachers using this, seeing this really, even though this is a writing tool, this is really subject agnostic. I mean, this is showing up all across the board. I mean, we have math teachers using this to have the kids debate the Pythagorean theorem and explain it and express it in a way. So they would have things like, hey, write the Pythagorean theorem, explain it as though you're talking to 5-year-olds.
Some math teacher, by the way, is going to hear you say debate the Pythagorean theorem. There's like, it's not
it's a theorem. That's why it's already been debated. Bad choice of words. But what's amazing is how our students are using that and having to showcase their knowledge on there. So as we talk about writing, this really is a tool that we're seeing across the board. I mean, social studies, science, math, in all kinds of forms and facets. As a recovering CTE teacher, I could see this use all over the place within the CTE realm. So just a phenomenal agnostic tool.
Yeah. What you see here, because we don't have enough people to actually demo the entire tool live, but I pulled up some results that I had from the past. I did hide their names, so you don't know who these people are. And I like that it automatically assigns a screen name to all of these people. But you'll notice, as we go through here, in this particular instance, this student, trustee unknown, got 80% of the class thought that they had a better supportive ideas. And when you think about better, well, it's just better than whichever one they were looking at next. The clearer explanation, the more creative. And you go all the way down the list. And so the way that I look at this as a teacher is I'd be like, all right, and I scroll down, and so now we see quick riddle here. Well, quick riddle, only 38% of the class thought that they had a better supportive ideas. So that means that there's 62% chance of improvement as far as supporting those ideas. And I think there's just a lot of ways that we can lean into stuff like this and go, all right, great, maybe you were proud of your answer, maybe you liked it. We can always improve on something. There's always some area that we can improve. And I think that tools like this just kind of help us evaluate those things. So really, really great tool. We would love to show this off to you, and especially as writing becomes more and more and more prominent in everything that we do. This is a really powerful tool, and I love it. I can't say enough about MyShortAnswer.
Well, and again, kind of with that, just as a reminder, this is a great way to get our students practicing short and extended constructed responses for the STAR test. So if you're a school that's looking for ways to improve the techniques of writing, this is the tool. And the great thing is everything we've shown you is free. It's phenomenal that we're able to access these tools now at a level of free. Now, there are some paid features, but those features are not something that I think is prohibitive if you want to, but you don't have to. I mean, we have lots of teachers that have used this for 2 years now on the free side on there and had some great results with that.
Yeah. It's a really great tool. So now we're going to lean into, and we're going to start to dabble just a little bit in AI. The AI is a completely different conversation. There's so much to talk about with the AI. We're barely going to scratch the surface in this, but we feel like we owe it to you to show a couple of these AI tools, specifically this one platform. So.
And full disclosure, Carl and I have talked. When we get really excited about a tool, I tend to talk very fast. So Carl's going to be my handler because I just get so excited about this tool on there. So I'm going to share my screen with you. We're going to talk about MagicSchool AI. MagicSchool AI has been around, a year and a half, 2 years or so. And while there are some other great AI tools out there for education, we feel like this is one of the best right now. Yes. Mainly for multiple reasons, and Carl's going to show you the Magic Student side here in a second, and it's incredible. It is truly a step change within AI and education, and this is kind of a glimpse of the future in many ways as to what a lot of these other tools are going to start trying to implement. But what we like so much about it, and the reason why we're so excited about it, is it's SIPA, COPA, and FERPA compliant. It's one of the first AI tools that not only is designed for educators, but the student side is one of the first that's able to interact with students directly and indirectly in a safe and controlled environment on there. And again, I just can't stress how how much time and focus and energy they spent putting the guardrails in place that we need for AI within the classroom on there. So let's go ahead. I'm on my screen. I'm going to log in. This is MagicSchool AI. Everything we show you today is free. We only are showcasing the free tools. There are paid features, but we honestly, especially with MagicSchool right now, there's nothing behind a paywall that we feel is game changing or impactful in your day to day on there. So this is MagicSchool. This is the teacher side. There's a few things. We won't have the time or depth or breadth to go into each one of these, but I want to show you some quick things in here. The way that this works is behind the scenes. MagicSchool is tied into ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and I believe Meta's, is it Llama?
The Llama, yeah.
Llama. It's using all different models behind the scenes. But what they do is they bring it in and they add an additional level of coding and programming and then training so that it'll do specific roles, but also retain SIPA, FERPA compliance and all those things. So like right here, if I go into communication, so I have these, let me backtrack. I have these tabs on the top, and these tabs will help me filter out my options. Down below you have basically what are cards, and each one of these cards is a specially tailored, for lack of a better word, chatbot that's using AI to do a specific task. It's been trained to do a specific task. Over on the left side we have some additional tools, and we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to go to the communications tab, and I'm going to write an email. We all have seen, I'm sure you've seen videos online at this point, how AI can write very well. For us in education, our biggest thing, the thing that is most precious to us is time. You've got 45 minutes for a conference period. You may, if you're lucky, have time before and after class or after school to do some things to get ready for the next day. But similar to what we experienced and know, you're probably involved in 15 things at the same time. So you're running a club, you're involved in coaching, you're driving a bus, you're doing other things outside of the classroom. So you've got 45 minutes in your classroom. Our biggest concern is how do you use that time efficiently? These kind of tools can help with that. So the very first thing, I need to write an email response to a parent. So I've gone in a professional email. I'm going to just say my name is Mickey Mouse for today, and I'm going to say I have a student. Oh,
It's hard to type live, by the way.
Falling asleep in class. I need your help, and this is tailored towards the parent. There we go. And talking with your student. Now, this could be little Johnny, little Susie pulled someone's hair, kicked someone's shin, broke my lamp, whatever it may be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the big blue button down below to generate, and I've only given it a sentence. And what it's going to kick out is a professional email on there that I can use readily. So instead of spending 20-30 minutes trying to tailor that email to get it perfectly how we think we need it to send to a parent, I now can use this to build my framework. Now, one key thing that we always talk about in our workshops and in our department, all these things, AI is a great start. It is not the end. So what we need to do when we deal with this is we need to look at this email and say, hey, this is a great framework. This is a great template. This is 80% there. What I now need to do is I now need to copy this, put that in my email, and spend a few minutes tailoring this, adding to it, putting some anecdotal evidence in there. Maybe I have a previous interaction with this parent that I can reference and say, hey, I saw little Johnny, little Susie. They did a great job on the basketball court in the last game. I was really excited to see you there on there. I might need to add a few things that the AI model would not know or would not be able to comprehend. But this gives me the ability to build those frameworks, especially when it's a serious matter. This, a student sleeping in class, relatively easy. Imagine a fight. Imagine something that is more dire or more consequential. This becomes very helpful because not only does it help give you the framework, but it also takes tone out. It creates it in a professional setting so that there's no concern about any kind of inappropriate language or frustration bleeding through or anything like that. While I get this next one up, what else, Carl? What am I missing on that we need to talk about?
On the MagicSchool, the thing that I love about the teacher side of this platform is that it's all about improving and increasing your efficiency as a teacher. And as BJ just said a moment ago, you're limited in time. And so if we feel like if we can give you back some time, then we've done a service for you. And this tool can absolutely do that. It can help you with planning. It can help you create resources for your students. It can help you scaffold resources for your students. There's a tool called the Text Leveler, which is a great scaffolding tool, especially if you have struggling readers. But I like to reverse that idea and think about, what if I've got a student who needs extension on reading? I can actually level the text up for them.
That's awesome.
And I think it's brilliant.
So we're gonna make a lesson plan here. We're gonna use the 5E model. I've got the 5E model lesson plan. I went underneath planning, and I put 5th grade level. What's something that we want to study? What topic, standard, or objective?
Let's look at place value.
Place value. So I'm going to type in place value. You'll notice we're being very brief with this for sake of time, but it's just phenomenal what we can make. Additional customization. I'm going to want extension activities. What are some other things I want to add in there?
Real world problems or situations.
Oh, I got too fast.
And you can customize this as much as you want. The more information you put, and this is a general rule on AI at all, the more information you give it, the better the results are going to be.
As dyslexic. Okay, so I've said we want to do a lesson over place value, 5th grade, extension activities, real world problems, student identified, and down below I'm going to say align to TEKS.
Notice we haven't given it any TEKS either. Mostly because I don't know 5th grade math TEKS.
All right, I'm gonna hit the big green or the big blue generate button, and here we go. Now I've chosen the 5E lesson plan model. If your school doesn't use the 5Es, there is a lesson plan generator in here. Going back to what we said, this is the starting point. This is the framework. This is the initial pass through. The reason why we say that, especially with lesson plans, you want to be very careful with lesson plans, because on this, while it can create something that's impressive, and as you see, we've got our engage, explore, explain, elaborate, we've got evaluate, and all those things, extensions, real world applications, and then there are TEKS 5.2 that it aligns with. This is all great, but it doesn't understand, what it doesn't have context for is it doesn't know your students, it doesn't know what your school's curriculum you've chosen is, it doesn't know the resources you have at your disposal. Only you can know that. So we can use this as the framework. We can use this as an idea generator, or what we like to call it as a thought partner. It's not replacing your thought, it's not replacing your creative spark, it's not replacing the hard work that you have to do here. But what it is doing is it is being that thought partner, giving you something to bounce ideas off of back and forth as we've done that. Here it is. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
So under additional criteria, that's where it is. I can actually put in a lesson plan I've made and say, hey, just expand on this. Give me 10 extension activities. Give me 3 ways to make this a project-based learning lesson or things like that. So I can build things in here, so I don't have to start from scratch. I can take what I've done and I can enhance it in some way on them. So all of these within MagicSchool are great. You've got all these different ones you can interact with. The last one I want to show you before I turn you over to Carl for the student side, which is just, it takes this and kicks it up by 100 basically. This Raina chat box right over on the left, she's sometimes hidden almost. It's always here, but we don't really interact with it all that much. I can't speak highly enough of this. If you've got if you've got teachers on your campus, or you are a first-year teacher or a relatively new teacher, this is your new best friend. This is Raina. This is designed to interact for you. It's designed as your AI instructional coach. You have a question about something, ask Raina. Not only has she been tailor focused, or not only have they been tailor focused to be knowledgeable of your TEKS and understanding best practices and best pedagogy with what you're doing, but it has access to all of the other things AI can touch on there. And so, hey, I'm not really familiar with what is the best technique when coming up with a seating chart. We'll see what she says. And what she'll be able to do is she'll be able to pull all of this information that is best practices, dissertation, research papers, peer-reviewed journals, all those kind of things, and build a list of something for you to use. So Raina is just phenomenal, and I would lean into that tool wherever possible. Because again, it's not supplanting our thought, it is a thought partner on that. And so again, look at this. This is some good information, especially if you're a starting off teacher and you're not familiar with doing a seating chart. If you're an alt-cert teacher and they've never talked about seating charts, here is some really proactive steps that you can use to better understand something that we kind of take for granted for those of us that have done it for multiple years. All right, Carl, I'm going to let you have all the fun with the students.
All right. So when you look at the Magic School side, like we said, this is to make you as the teacher more efficient. The student side, this is, I think, truly a paradigm shift and a game changer in how we give access to our students and how we really help them become better users of the AI tools. And so I'm going to click this little purple button up here at the top of the screen, and it's going to shift over to the student side. So all of the tools on here, all 60 of these tools on here, have been, the prompts that they've created are designed to help maximize student learning. And remember, the entire thing that we're doing, the whole reason we're doing this podcast is about how can we level up student success. So these tools operate within an educational framework, so they're safe to use for students, and they return, the other thing I love is they return grade appropriate responses. So when you set up a room to push these tools out to your students, you select the grade that you want, and it will only return responses that are appropriate for that grade. So they're neither too technical or too sensitive for that grade. And I just love that. I think it's so important, so valuable that they've done that. So I've highlighted a few tools here that I just want to talk through. We don't really have time to demo all of this. Again, we're doing such a disservice to these tools because they're so deep and so vast. But just to highlight a couple of these. So this Tutor Me with AI tool, this is one of my favorite things in the world because it asks leading questions to your students. It never gives them the answer, and it requires them to actually interact and partner with it. So I love having my students jump into this tool, and I just give them the prompt, like the quadratic equation. We're going to learn about the quadratic equation again, today. And I tested this one on myself because I don't know anything about the quadratic equation. I was a social studies teacher. I haven't had algebra in 30 years. And so it asked me, well, what do you know about it? I'm like, well, I don't know anything about it. And so then it walks me through how to understand the quadratic equation. So I'm going to pull it up real quick just to show you what it does. And I'm not going to go through the whole process, but I just want you to see. When I type in quadratic equation, it's just going to prompt me. What do you know about this? Maybe. We'll have to edit that. Okay, so like this, it says, can you tell me what comes to mind when you hear the term quadratic equation? Well, what comes to my mind is the number 4, because I see that prefix quad. Well, that's an interesting starting point. And so I like how it actually affirms what you typed, what you put in there. So it's giving some support to your students saying, oh, okay, I appreciate that you know that. So let's think about this. How might this be connected to quadratic equations? Does it remind you any parts of an equation, that special terms that you've heard in math class? And so you can then just kind of keep typing questions into this or typing prompts into this, and it's going to walk you through, hey, here's what the equation looks like, here's how you solve for these different functions, and then it's going to ask you to solve some questions. And it never gives you the answer, it just leads you into through that process. I think that's such an important thing. I love that tutor tool. Another one here, this multiple explanations. I like this because you can take a concept, you can take anything, and it will offer, usually it gives you a couple of different definitions or scenarios, and then it gives you a couple of different analogies to try to stimulate your mind and help you understand what that topic is about. This Quiz Me tool, it'll let you quiz on anything. And so if you've got students who like flashcards or like anything like that, when they're quizzing one another or testing one another, it acts just like that. It acts as an AI thought partner for them, where instead of let me go, I've got to meet with a friend or something to quiz me, it actually does the quiz just back and forth with them right then. All of these tools are designed, like we said, to maximize student learning, and they're super easy to get out to your students. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to demo how to get this out to your students real quickly. So there's this button on the left hand of the screen that says Launch to Students. So when I click this button, it's going to take me through a process where I get to select what tools I want to push out to my students. And I'm not going to push all of them out. I'm only going to push out the ones that I want. And so you can see right here all of the rooms that I've already created. So I'm going to launch a new room. And so this is going to be our podcast test room. All right, and notice this is where I select the grade level. It has 9th grade on there right now. I can come down to 5th grade, and so it's only going to return results that are appropriate for 5th grade. So I click next. It's going to bring up all of the tools. What tools do you want to send out? If you send out all 60 tools, well, that's overwhelming. So we don't want to do that. I'm going to put this Make It Relevant tool. That's a really interesting one. This Quiz Me tool, and then the let's see, where's my?
Carl's setting that up. With this tool, one thing that we like to talk about is how is this used in the classroom? Well, this could very easily be used in a group setting where you've got a task for your students to do. They're going to be working on a project, and you're choosing things that they will use to go through that project and process. Say they're world geography, we're learning about South America. Each group has a country within South America, and they've got to find like the GDP, the exports, the imports, the language, the history, the culture, images, songs, all the things that they would need to know to then present to the rest of the class. You can have these tools help them in that process. Yeah. So it is driving their curiosity, or their curiosity is driving their learning through these tools on there. This could be part of a station rotation in your classroom. If you've got littles, there's a Raina chatbot designed specifically for students that they can ask very probing questions. So just some phenomenal ways to use it.
Yeah. So I've got the Quiz Me tool, I've got the Make It Relevant, and then I've got this debate partner in here, which is such a cool tool. So I'm going to click next. And now here's where we really get to put in, have a little control over what goes out to our students, so they can see what we want them to see, whatever the topic is we're working on or we're learning about. So I get to customize the tool. So I'm going to customize my debate partner tool. And so it's going to come up, and you'll notice you see 2 screens here. On the left side of the screen is what you're typing. On the right side of the screen is what your students would see. And so we're going to do our topic for debate is going to be, and I like the one that they just pulled up right here. So they put cell phone usage in school. So that's the debate. And then this is what's so cool, is you get to decide which side of the debate the AI is on. And so on this one, I'm going to put AI supports cell phones in school. So that means that your students now have to take the opposing side. Your students have to take the side that cell phones should not be used in school, which I think is really valuable because they would usually be for phones in school. And so we're going to make them debate the opposite side. So now I'm going to click next. And now I get to actually test the tool. And this is so cool because I get to see, is this actually doing what I want it to do? So I'm going to go ahead and test this for just a second, generate. And it's going to come up. I understand you want to debate cell phone usage in school. So cell phone, I'm just going to say really very simply, cell phones should never be used in school, right? Because that's the side that I'm on. And click my little arrow, and there we go. I appreciate your stance on the issue. However, let's consider some counter. So now it's taking the counter arguments, and so I have to respond to the arguments that the AI is making. And so it's just it's another way for me to deepen my understanding of it, to be able to express myself through language, and have to communicate and have to refute and make my own arguments for this. And I think the debate tool is really great.
And I think these kind of tools, again, kind of go back to what you were talking about with MyShortAnswer. That whole idea of students aren't very good at critique because they really haven't done that much. Yeah. Between MyShortAnswer and this, we're giving platforms for students to really showcase their voice and understanding of their thought process, and showcasing that as they do it. I think anytime we can get tools like that in front of students, we have beneficial impacts in their learning and understanding, and I think that's great.
So I clicked done, right? So I tested the tool, I like what it's doing, and now I'm going to launch the room. And this is where I think MagicSchool, again, just has such a leg up. So I can have a join URL. So if I'm using a learning management system like Canvas or Blackboard or something like that, I can put the URL into Canvas, into Blackboard, and there you go. They can access it like that. But right here, especially if you're at Google School, you can see that I can actually create an assignment in MagicSchool for my Google Classroom. And so that sends it straight into Classroom.
Can you share me a link? I'll pull it up.
And I think that's brilliant. Let's see. Yes, so I'm going to copy this link. Give me just a second here. All right, so I sent him that link. Come back here. And so you'll see that as after I sent BJ that link, he's going to click on that and he's going to be able to join my my class. And this is why this is so valuable, and where again I think Magic Student has a leg up on all these other AI tools, especially for student learning. Because when he clicks on this link and he joins my class, I'm going to be able to see everything that he does, and I think that's so valuable. So now you see that BJ has joined my class, and so he'll have access to all of those tools that I loaded into that, and so he's going to jump into any of those tools. It doesn't matter which one, and just start typing, just start playing around with that. And what we'll see right here, and we saw it immediately pop up. It's created the initial generation in the debate partner, and so now we actually have access to everything that BJ is typing, which I think is really valuable, because if we imagine using this tool, so we're using the debate partner, right? And I want to see his progression of thought, how he's able to make his argument about cell phones not being used in school, and how the AI is talking back to him. And what I can imagine doing is, if I say, all right, you need to have at least 10 interactions with this tool. And so he goes through and he does his 10 interactions, and now based on that, I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to say, all right, now I need you to write a paper or write a presentation or make a video about why cell phones should be used in school. So he's going to have to, what he's done now is he's going to have to take everything that MagicSchool wrote back to him and compile that into an argument. And I think that there's just a lot of value in looking at, I had to make one argument and now I have to take the opposing side and make that my paper. I just think that's a lot of fun. And so we can come into this and we can see all of his
very well, eloquent, thought out.
Perfect.
Reasoning
Yes.
and understanding.
Want to check my scores for fantasy football? Yeah, that's actually a really good reason.
Yeah. But what I love about this is I was being a little coy when I did this, but I love the responses that it gave. It said, "Hey, I acknowledge that might be interesting, but wouldn't that be distracting and hinder academic performance?" And then my response then is, wouldn't not being able to see the scores distract me on its own? And then just look how it responds as well. Again, it does it in a way that is never going to let me not address the central issue. It
Right.
keeps reiterating, keeps coming back again and again. I think that's so powerful. And then you as the teacher being able to see all this is just phenomenal.
Well, and I can also see that perhaps, remember, because AI supported cell phone use in school, and I can look at this and go, oh, well, maybe we had a misunderstanding in how we're working through this, and so now we can actually, that's a teachable moment though, and I like that we've got that opportunity now. And as long as this room stays open, BJ always has access to these tools. I can edit the tools, I can change them, I can bring new ones in, I can take new ones out. I can, and I love to do this, because perhaps we need to have a real teachable moment here and he's not listening, and so I can actually pause his room. So now he can see everything, but he can't interact with the tools any longer. And so now we've had our conversation, I can open the room back up. Or up here, let's just say that we've had, I notice as I'm walking around, there are quite a few misconceptions. I can actually pause the entire room. So now I can have an opportunity to maybe do some direct teach, and then I can bring the whole class back and we can jump back into the tool like that. If you're on a team, you can actually add co-teachers, or if you've got, maybe you've got some push-in teachers who come into your class to work with some of your special populations, you can actually add co-teachers into your class, and I think that's really valuable as well. And then if you have new students join your class, you can always get them into the class as well. So really, really powerful tools. It's a wonderful, wonderful platform. MagicSchool has done some phenomenal things in the world of education. I think it truly is a game changer, and so I'm excited to think about and talk about those.
So we've just gone through, three of these three tools. I mean, what if you could sum up what's your elevator pitch for how these three can help us in the classroom?
So really, the biggest things that I love about all three of these tools. Number one, they level up teacher efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
They give you back time in the classroom. Number two, they expose your students to new avenues, new ways of thinking, new ways of learning, new ways of having to process information. And I can't speak highly enough about that with Discovery Ed, with Student, or Short Answer with Magic Student. All of these are having your students engage in critical thinking in ways that they've not really had to do before. And three, they're really user-friendly. Because one of the concerns that we have when we're looking at new digital tools is, do I have time to learn a new tool? How can I get into this? And is it going to be easy for me to use? And all three of these are exceptionally easy to learn how to use.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think these tools really hit home on our ultimate why. Why digital learning? Why these tools? And just like you said, it improves efficiency, enhances engagement with our students, and really just provides a huge cost-benefit analysis of how much time am I going to invest in this versus how much am I going to get out of it. And I think these are the three tools we choose to highlight, is because they really provide all of those in spades with that.
All right. Well, so that's really all the time we've got today. We've used up a lot of time today. And thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this has been beneficial to you. We hope that that you've got some takeaways on this, that you can jump into these tools right away and start using those. And we hope that really this has been at least entertaining, if not educational. We hope you've learned something. If not, you just laughed along with us. And we hope that you join us in the future. So thanks so much for joining us on the Learning Curve, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome to the curve, where ideas take flight. Blending tech and teaching, sparking insight. From digital tips to stories untold, we're here to inspire, to break the mold.